as the order that everyone should bow. About the decide now to do and now, and that is why now to do I am related, and that's why I remember the lesson when he also demanded that he may be worshipped, demanded the truth that he may be worshipped. This is the same thing that we see now. This is the same thing that we see now on Nebuchadnezzar. He may also worship ordering, but then he may be worshipped. Three faithful Hebrew men. We find three faithful Hebrew men. I will read faithful Hebrew men. I will read in Daniel chapter 3 from verses 17. After this order has been given, they stand firm, and they say in verse 17 that if the God whom we serve is able to save us from the blazing furnace and from your power, then he will. But even if he doesn't, your majesty may be sure that we will not worship your God, and we will not bow down to the gold statue that you have set up. We see some similarities King Nebuchadnezzar and King Nebuchadnezzar, but then now King Nebuchadnezzar again comes to with Lucifer. After this has been done, we see King Nebuchadnezzar proclaiming after he now sees four people. After God has saved the three Hebrew men, King Nebuchadnezzar again says that your God will always be the king, and he says that you worship the true God. But what can we learn, or what can we draw the three Hebrew men? Number one, the three Hebrew men, they had chance to pretend they were worshiping God. They could just have said, we will just worship. But in other words, worship the true God. Wangesema tu sisi umetoa hii jukumu ili tuweze kuworship the statue. We stand with it. Yes, we will stand with it in our sacred places. Worshiping our God. But they stood firm. But they stood firm. Proclaim that if the God whom we serve us, then let save us. And if he won't save us, let us. Another lesson. They accepted the consequences. And chose to die. However, God did not allow to die. He's faithful. That is why in the introduction we were assured. That Christ has given us the strength, and Christ has also promised us that he will be with us, that he will be with us. And this is what we see. And this is what we see when he stands with the three Hebrew men, even to the furnace. Even to the death. Question that comes to us as Christians. When that time comes, our faith will be found before God. Worthy. Will we be able to stand? Will we be able to stand Hebrew men as the three Hebrew men? And will we stand firm and say that if the God whom we serve will not be able then to save us, then let us die. Thank you.
Thank you, Mwalimu. Now I'm giving walimu wawili Mwalimu Job, Mwalimu Boaz. I would like you to react to this in a minute, not more than a minute each. When we are presented with opportunities to break the law of God, when we are presented with temptations that demand God, we disobey God. What we end up doing as Christians is breaking the law, and break the law, God will understand. God will understand. How is that a dangerous statement? How is that a dangerous statement to make?
Of course. You are their enemy. Short-lived. It is short-lived. To such extent that Nebuchadnezzar is now bringing up an image. Up an image. Towards what you just asked, sometimes we do compromise. Sometimes we do compromise. That we do it first, and then we come to seek for forgiveness. And then we come to seek for forgiveness. That God has given us. That's what you were saying. That we are giving that we are giving that love and of sound mind. Of love and that whatever we are doing, that whatever we are doing, that we know this, and say, King, know that this, that will not the image, worship, and if our God will not help us, and if our God will not help us, then we will not that boldness. So that arrived from Timothy that we're talking about, of sound mind. We're talking about to discern whatever you are doing is good or right. Whatever you are doing is good or right. And if it is not wrong, then say no. This is not the guidance of the Holy Spirit, and through the guidance of the Holy Spirit, then we walk through it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The three boys had the opportunity to rationalize, and just fake it and try to see how they can and try to see how they maneuver through. But they chose not to go in that direction. They chose not to go in that direction. The reality is in this life the devil will present us with compromise our faith, and that's all it does. The opportunities will be there. Before you are a student, and exams have been set on a Sabbath. And you know that's it. And you know that don't take that exam. You are not graduating. So there presents the opportunity, and you rationalize and say, God, I have to graduate. I have to graduate. Or your boss threatens you. To do that, you're fired. You're fired. And most of the time, we find ourselves in situations where we compromise. And we give the devil an opportunity. Get the answer to that question. Whatever opportunities present themselves to us, have a very clear answer. And we will not compromise our faith.
Thank you. And allow me to push. From Revelation 13, from Revelation 13, from Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. If I read here, we are talking about another. We are talking about another image. About another image being presented. About one of the image being presented. One of the we have another image being presented. We have another image. And from that verse we read, and from that verse we read, power. He was granted power to the image of the beast, to the image of the beast, image of the beast, image of the beast. Speak should and both speak and cause as many as could not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Now, we are talking about compromising on matters that do not cause death, but here is going to be a threat. Death penalty if you don't worship the image. What should one do, Elder?
Thank you. Now, when we talk about worship, it's a very critical question, because I was looking at the definition of worship. Is the act of showing reverence and adoration for a deity or something considered sacred. And you know, we have our God that we have come to worship here today. Now we have seen how the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, how they worship their true God at that time, and how they showed the adoration to their God at that time. Now, allow me to draw some parallels between Daniel chapter 3 and Revelation chapter 13 that is going to point us towards worship. I want to believe that is our bell. Does it mean we stop, or we have some few more minutes? Because it's ringing. We have 5 minutes. All right. Okay. Thank you. Now, allow me to take 2 minutes of the 5. Now, just to draw some parallels. The first parallel that we see in Daniel, between Daniel 3 and Revelation 13, is that both feature an image. We see an image in Daniel 3, that is the image of gold, and there is an image of the beast in Revelation chapter 13. And so, there are these three entities in the last days. We are talking about the dragon, that is Satan. We are talking about the sea beast, which is the papacy in Revelation 13. And we also have the land beast, as we know it to be the Protestant America. That is in Revelation 13, verse 11. And then number 2, these two in Daniel 3 and Revelation 13, they both involve worship. And that is the bottom line. Nowadays, it's all about worship. In Daniel 3, we see it's about bowing down and worshiping. That is what the state, the Babylonian government was doing at that time. And then in Revelation 13, of course, it's all about exercising the authority in his presence. That is the land beast that had been presented to him. And we also see that they both involve, they start with persuasion and then they end with coercion and force. Both also involve the threat of death. They both involve fire. They both involve choice to worship the creator God or the beast. They both involve a decision and a stand. So, what are these parallels telling us? That the issue of worship has become the center stage of the last day events. And, you know, we learn a lot from what the three blue boys did, and we ask ourselves, so what? What does that really mean to me? All right? How relevant is that to me? Most likely, there is no day you are going to be before a king or the president of a country, and you're going to be told, bow down, or you are thrown into a den of lions. But your everyday decisions are centered on worship. And that's why worship is not all about, bowing. It has everything to do with the true and ultimate allegiance. That you need to worship God 100%. Anything else other than that is idolatry. And that is why, lastly, in the book Matthew 12:30, it tells us that he who is not with me is against me, and he who does not gather with me scatters abroad. It basically means